She came to a wedding promising herself she would not fall in love. He was afraid of the word, forever. They knew no one except the bride and groom. They were seated next to each other by accident. At one table, surrounded by toasts, music, and laughter. Camila had just come out of a broken marriage. Henry had never been married and never planned to start. But between dances, coffee, quiet conversations, and slow mornings that followed, they allowed themselves the bravest thing of all, to believe again. This is not a story of grand declarations. It is a story of a home that forms quietly. Of a word like, we, that no longer feels frightening. Of a love that begins in a random seat, and stays for good.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
When we began, I came to that wedding with a very clear intention: not to fall in love, not to flirt, not to look at anyone longer than necessary, and absolutely not to cry during slow songs. It was my first real outing after my divorce, and I carried myself like a person with an invisible sign on her forehead that read, "Fragile. Handle with care." I only knew the bride and groom. Everyone else in the room was a sea of unfamiliar faces, unfamiliar stories, and unfamiliar pairs of hands intertwined. When the waiter led me to my seat, I thought, all right. I will eat, smile, say a toast, and quietly disappear before dessert. And then I saw Henry. He was already sitting there, looking slightly tense, wearing a suit that clearly did not get much use. He studied the seating chart as if it were an advanced math problem. "Excuse me," he said when I stopped beside him. "Is this seat yours or mine?" "I hope it is yours," I replied automatically. "Because if not, we will have to get acquainted immediately." He smiled, relieved, the kind of smile people wear when they are simply glad that the person next to them is real and not intimidating. "Henry," he said, extending his hand. "Camila," I answered, and noticed that his palm was warmer than the situation required. We were both guests without a group. You can always tell. It shows in the way people hold their glasses, the way their eyes scan the room, quietly searching for someone who belongs to them. The first toast was loud and cheerful. The second one was even louder. Henry and I exchanged a glance. So, he leaned toward me. "I assume after the third toast, we will be considered family?" "If that is the case, I would like to know which one of us is responsible for watching the newlyweds' cat," I whispered. He laughed. Truly. And in that moment, something inside me softened. We talked about little things. About how difficult it is to eat salad in formal clothes. About wedding dances that always look like flash mobs nobody rehearsed for. About how the music is either overly cheerful or unbearably romantic, with nothing in between. "Do you believe in marriage?" I asked suddenly, surprising even myself. He paused, then sighed honestly. "I am afraid of that word," he said. "Married sounds final." I nodded, because I knew exactly how the word divorced sounds. "I just came out of that," I said quietly. And being here today feels like being a guest in someone else's fairy tale." He looked at me more carefully then. Not with pity, not with discomfort. He simply accepted it. "Then let us be here together," he said. "Two people without a plan, but with dessert ahead." When the first dance began, I had no intention of standing up. But Henry rose from his chair and offered his hand. "No expectations," he added. "Just moving to the music." And I went with him. We danced a little awkwardly. I stepped on his foot. He apologized, even though it was entirely my fault. We laughed quietly, as if sharing a small secret in the middle of the large room. During the slow song, he did not pull me closer. He was simply there, and that was enough. At some point, I realized something important. I was not thinking about the past. I was not counting how much time had passed since then. I was simply here. As the wedding came to an end, we sat with our plates of cake and tired smiles. "You know," Henry said, "today was the first time I thought the word, forever, might not be frightening." And I replied, was not afraid of the word, again for the first time. We stepped outside into the cool night air. No promises. No grand declarations. Just two people who allowed themselves to believe once more, even if only a little. And I thought, maybe love does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it simply takes the seat beside you at a random table. And that is more than enough. We did not make plans right away. We simply exchanged numbers, carefully, as if it was not a phone number, but something fragile. Something hopeful. I walked home after the wedding and caught myself smiling for no reason. Not widely. Quietly. The kind of smile you wear when something warm lives inside you, but does not yet have a name. Henry texted the next day. No drama. No games. I found a coffee shop where the windows fog up from the warmth inside. "If you want, we can see if it is true." I wanted to. We met on Saturday. It was cool outside, and I spent far too long choosing a scarf, as if the future depended on it. In the end, I chose the soft one that is a little too long. I always feel calmer in it. Henry was already there, holding a coffee, wearing the same slightly uncertain smile I remembered from the wedding. "I did not know what you drink," he said. "So I decided to start with myself." "That feels very responsible," I smiled. The cafe was small. Wooden tables. Warm light. Someone quietly reading in the corner. We sat by the window, and our knees brushed accidentally. Neither of us moved away. We talked slowly, about small things that somehow feel more important than big stories. About favorite scents. About Henry being afraid of silence in elevators. About me still waking up earlier than necessary, simply because I once had to. He listened carefully. He did not interrupt. Sometimes he nodded as if he was memorizing not my words, but me. When I laughed, he did not look at my lips. He looked into my eyes. It was new and a little frightening. We went for a walk. The air was fresh, the city unhurried. We walked side by side, our hands brushing. At first accidentally, then not at all by accident. "May I?" he asked softly before taking my hand. You may, I answered just as softly. His hand was warm, familiar, as if it already knew how to hold mine. We stopped at a crosswalk, waiting for the light to change. In that brief pause, he leaned a little closer. I do not want to rush, he said. But I want to be here. With you. I nodded, because that was exactly what I needed to hear. The first kiss was not perfect. A little shy, a little smiling, and very real. When we pulled back, I thought, sometimes a continuation is not louder than the beginning. Sometimes it is simply warmer. Camila, I walked home slowly, as if I did not want the day to end. I took off my coat, hung up my scarf, the same long, soft one, and held it in my hands for a moment longer. It still smelled like coffee, cool air, and a little bit like Henry. The apartment was quiet, too quiet, but for the first time in a long while, the silence did not press against me. It felt gentle. I made tea, even though I usually only drink it in the morning. I simply wanted something slow. I sat on the windowsill, pulling my knees close, watching the streetlights flicker outside. I replayed small details. The way he held his cup with both hands. The way he asked if I was cold without me saying a word. The way he paused for a second before the kiss, giving me time not to be afraid. I did not feel that familiar anxiety. What happens next? There was no need to decide anything tonight. I allowed myself a single thought. I feel good. And that turned out to be enough. Before going to bed, I placed my phone face up, a silly, quiet hope. The message did not come immediately. But it came. I fell asleep with a smile. Soft. Real. Henry. I came home and did not turn on the lights right away. I stood in the hallway, still feeling the warmth of her hand in mine. It was strange. Such a simple sensation, and yet it stayed with me. I took off my jacket and hung it carefully, as if the evening deserved respect. Maybe it did. In the kitchen, I poured myself a glass of water but did not drink it right away. I stared out the window, replaying the evening moment by moment. Not correcting anything. Not wondering if I had said the wrong thing. I liked that with her. I did not have to be better. I only had to be attentive. I remembered the way she said, "You may," when I asked to take her hand. That word stayed with me. Simple, permissive, warm. I did not think about marriage. I did not think about the distant future. I thought about the next time I would see her. And that did not scare me. Before bed, I wrote her a message. Deleted it. Rewrote it. Deleted it again. In the end, I kept it simple. Because sometimes simple is enough. I went to sleep with the quiet certainty that today, I had been exactly where I was supposed to be. It did not happen on a special day. Not to music. Not with grand words. We were sitting in Henry's kitchen. I already knew where he kept the tea, and for some reason that felt important. On the table were two different mugs. His large, dark one, and mine, light-colored, with a small crack in the handle. Outside, it was drizzling. The kind of rain that does not interrupt anything. It simply exists. "Do you have sugar?" I asked, without turning around. "I do," he replied. "But we always forget that we use too much." I froze for a second. He froze too. He looked at me as if checking whether it had been an accident. He asked softly, not smiling. Carefully, I turned toward him, pressing the spoon against the cup so it would not clink. "Yes," I said, "if you are not opposed to it." He exhaled slowly, as if he had been holding his breath longer than necessary. "I am not opposed," he said. "I like how it sounds." We sat beside each other. Not across. Our knees touched, and I felt him shift slightly to make me more comfortable. "You know," he said, looking into his mug, "I used to think that we was a trap." "And I replied, used to think that I was safer." He smiled at the corner of his mouth. And now, we does not scare me," I said. "It just feels warm." He took my hand. He did not squeeze it. He simply held it, as if confirming the word through touch. We sat in silence. And it was good silence. I looked at our hands resting on the table and thought, sometimes the most important things happen quietly. Without promises. Without plans. They begin with one small word that suddenly feels like home. A year has passed. I know this not because I counted the days. I know it because the house now smells like coffee in the morning, even on the days when I wake up later than Henry. Our home is small, not something you would see on a magazine cover. But it has a shelf of books we have not read yet, a hook in the hallway where his jacket always hangs, and a kitchen window through which you can watch the city wake up slowly, without urgency. I wake up to the sound of the coffee grinder. It hums like an old cat. Henry always tries to be quieter, and it never works. I smile without opening my eyes. He brings me a cup of coffee in bed. Always the same mug. "It is hot," he says. "You say that every day," I reply. "I worry every day," he answers seriously. We have breakfast in the kitchen. Sometimes in silence. Sometimes talking about small things. The grocery list, the weather, the fact that we are out of honey again. Our knees touch under the table, and I still notice it, as if it is the first time. On weekends, we do not set alarms. We stay in bed longer than necessary. He reads the news. I scroll through old photos on my phone. Sometimes I catch him looking at me. "What?" I ask. "Just checking," he says. "You are here. I am here." We have small rituals. Sunday walks without a destination. Evenings with movies we never finish. Notes on the refrigerator. "I will be late. Do not forget to eat. I love you." Between errands. Between life. We did not become different people. I still wake up too early sometimes. He is still cautious of the word, forever, but he no longer runs from it. One evening, we sat on the floor among half-unpacked boxes. I still have not sorted through my old things. I found the same small crack on my favorite mug. "Do you remember?" I smiled. "I do," he said. "That is where everything began." He took my hand, just like the first time. Calmly, steadily. "I do not promise perfection," he said. "I am not asking for it," I replied. "But I am here," he continued. And I choose us. Every day. I leaned into him and thought, happiness is not made of loud moments. It is made of someone brewing coffee in the morning. Of someone you come back to in the evening. Of a word like, we, that no longer feels frightening, but simply means home.